In today's video, I will be discussing about how to write the Plab exam in Nigeria. Stick around. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Osain Peter Jordan. I am a 5th year medical student in the Niger Delta University Teaching Hospital, Okolobri in Bayelsa State, Nigeria. I hope you are doing well. Since I'm still a medical student at the time of recording this video, I will only be discussing about the individual processes that makes up the Plab exam. After my graduation, will I then kickstart my own personal Plab journey here on this channel? Hopefully, after clearing my IELTS test, I will immediately create my GMC online account and book for my Plab exam. If you are new here, consider subscribing to the channel in order to see new videos like this. Thank you. So what exactly is Plab exam? Plab actually stands for Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board. The Plab exam is for international medical graduates who wish to practice medicine in the UK. The purpose of the Plab exam is to test an IMG's ability as a doctor to work safely in the UK's NHS hospitals, and also to ascertain if they have the relevant skills and knowledge to practice. It is fundamental to note that if you hold an approved GMC postgraduate qualification, or you are an EU national who qualified from a European institution, the exam is conducted by the GMC, that is the General Medical Council of the United Kingdom. The Plab exam is equivalent to the MDCN's assessment exam that tests for the competence of overseas trained medical doctors that want to practice medicine in Nigeria. From early 2024, international medical graduates who would have sat for the Plab exam will start to take the MLA, the Medical Licensing Assessment. If they are applying for registration with a license to practice in the UK. So from that year, the Plab exam will be replaced with the UK MLA. The Plab exam has two parts, the Plab 1 and Plab 2. Plab 1 consists of an MCQ format that comprises of about 180 questions in 3 hours. This part is conducted in many countries outside of the UK, and thankfully we have 3 centers in Nigeria where it can be written. I'll come back to this later. Plab 2 is an objective, structured clinical examination, popularly known as OSCE Medical School. It consists of 18 clinical stations. All the stations are 8 minutes long with 2 minutes reading time. This part is taken only in the UK. The standard of both parts of the exam is set at the level of competence of a UK doctor at the start of FY2 in the foundation program in the UK. The FY2 program is equivalent to the housemanship program that is practiced in Nigeria. So what are the requirements you need in order to book for your Plab exam? Before booking for the Plab exam, you must have the following. One, you must have a primary medical degree, that is the MBBS or its equivalent, from an institution that is recognized in the World Directory of Medical Schools. Secondly, you must have taken the IELTS exam with an overall score of 7.0 in each of the categories. That is, you must have 7 in writing, 7 in speaking, 7 in listening, and 7 in reading. So with an overall score of 7.5, or you can also take the OET exam with a bound score, with an overall score of a B in each of the different categories. You must also have a national ID or a valid passport, that is the valid Nigerian passport. And finally, I will advise that any person that is taking the Plab exam should endeavor to complete a 12-month internship program that is that 3 months is spent in medicine and 3 months is also spent in surgery, because doing this is an acceptable pattern of internship by the GMC, whereas it is not a prerequisite for anyone to undergo internship before taking the Plab exam anyway. But before booking for the Plab 2 exam, is usually better for a candidate to have completed his or her internship. So this particular item, that is the completion of housemanship, is not actually a requirement per se before taking the Plab exam, but I will usually advise most persons to partake in the completion of the internship, because it's going to make the whole road regarding the Plab exam. That is, it's also helping in Plab 1 as well as Plab 2. What is the cost of the Plab exam? Well, this is mostly one of the frequent questions that I get most times, and it's also one of the biggest challenges most candidates consider before taking the exam. Since the exam is usually an international exam, that it's a UK exam, it's usually cost in the British pound. So the cost of the Plab 1 exam as at the time of recording this video, that is January 13th 2021, the cost on the GMC's website is £239, and converting it to Naira using Google exchange rates, it's approximately 125,000 Naira. So it's quite a bit expensive for a just graduated medical doctor. It's almost all the a full salary that a young graduate medical doctor earn during internship. Okay, moving over to registration. How am I supposed to book for the Plab 1 exam? Well, basically, the Plab 1 exam can only be registered or booked from the GMC online account. That means you have to visit the GMC's official website and create an account with them. You will have to set up your online GMC account with your primary medical qualification, that is MBBS certificate, as well as your email address, your postal address, and yes, and your valid Nigerian passport. So after doing this, you will receive your GMC reference number, or the GMC number for short. This particular number that is assigned to you, you will be using it for the rest of your career as a medical doctor in the UK, so you endeavor to keep it safe. After creating your account, after creating your account with your primary medical qualification, you now put in your score, that's the test score for the IELTS test, or the OET. If you wrote the OET, you put the required score, the one we just discussed some few minutes ago. So after doing that, you then move straight to booking for your Plab 1 exam. After booking, make sure the dates and the venue for the exam that you booked, it's correct, so you don't go with a wrong venue or a wrong date. You just should be able to recheck to be sure. And also you check your name, the spelling, you have to check everything. You have to also check your GMC reference number, the one that will be given to you, then the dates and the time, the location of your Plab 1 exam in Nigeria. So after confirming all this, before you can probably log out from your account. For clarification purposes, you can check other YouTube channels that talks about the step-by-step process on how to register or book for your Plab 1 exam. So what if you want to cancel your exam or change the dates of your exam? Yeah, you can actually cancel your exam, but cancelling the exam comes with a cancellation fee. And if you want to change the dates of your exam to another date, you will have to cancel, pay the cancellation fee, and rebook for another time. So let's quickly talk about the cancellation fee. You won't pay any cancellation fee if the time when you decided to cancel the exam is beyond 83 days. Secondly, if you decided to cancel the exam between 83 and 57 days, you have to pay just 50% of the total cost of the exam. That is, you are paying 50% of the £239. Whereas if the time when you've decided to cancel the exam is less than 57 days, it means you are paying the whole cost of the exam. That is, you are paying 100% of the £239. You are paying everything over again before you cancel, and then maybe decide to rebook again. Let's now talk about the venue. Where can you write the Plab 1 exam in Nigeria? Plab 1 exam can be written 3 times in a year. The exam can be written in the months of March, June, and November in Nigeria as well. And thankfully, the GMC has provided 3 centers where you can write the exam in Nigeria. It can be written in Lagos, it can also be written in Abuja and in Enugu. So for those that intend booking for the Plab 1 exam, you need to book at either of these 3 locations in Nigeria. So what are the materials that one may need while preparing for the exam? I have divided the materials that I personally will be using in preparing for the Plab 1 exam into 2 parts. I divided them into free and downloadable materials, and the one that you will not be able to download means you have to pay for them. That's the payable materials. So the free or downloadable materials, they include MCQ question banks, like the 1,700 questions by Dr. Khalid. The 1,700 questions by Dr. Khalid have been remade or reorganized into different parts. Now we can okay, now we have the uncategorized and the categorized versions of the 1,700 questions. We also have the separate and the combined ones. Let me just explain a little bit. In these materials, you can find the ones that have just a single question bank, meaning that it is you will not find medication banks with answers, whereas in some you find both of them. That is, you have answers to them, whereas you will not have answers to some of them. And then we also have the categorized and uncategorized systems where the systems of the human body have been categorized into different parts. That is, you can find the respiratory, the cardiovascular. So all questions pertaining um, systemic medicine have been categorized into these formats, whereas in others they are not categorized. You just see them in an uncategorized manner, as it's scattered here or there. The second material is the reference textbooks. These textbooks is basically for reference. Like if you are studying for the Plab exam, maybe after going through the questions, you saw something that you had to check or Google somewhere, you can immediately check the reference textbooks. These reference textbooks include Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine, Oxford Handbook of Surgery, Oxford Handbook of Clinical Specialties, and other. We have different types. So if you are studying a particular question and you come across something that you need to check, you can quickly check it in any of these reference textbooks. We have other ones apart from these three that I've given. The next thing is the Plab blueprint. The Plab blueprint is a free downloadable document that is provided by the GMC. This blueprint provides all what you need to know. That's all the topics that you have to familiarize yourself with before sitting for the exam. It is not going to tell you the particular question that is going to come out. No, it's not like that. So having the Plab blueprint as a guide while studying is going to also help you while preparing for the exam. The next one in this category is the notes, Plab notes. Notes are like jotted or summarized work that have been done by previous candidates. So laying your hand on a good note, like the Plab case for example, is going to help you also while preparing for the Plab exam. The next thing is mock. Well, maybe after preparing and you think that you are a bit prepared for the exam, you can actually lay your hand on mocks. Mock are more or less like questions that you can use to test yourself. Like if we know mocks, it's the same mock that we are hearing about. So we write mocks before a particular exam, so you can try one or two mocks before going for the real exam. Then we have recalls. Recalls are questions that previous candidates that sat for the Plab exam were able to recall after the exam. So laying your hand on the current recall will be an addition to you while preparing for the exam. So if you are supposed to write the exam in 2021, for instance, if you are able to lay your hand on the recalls of Plab 2020 exam, it will be very nice for you while preparing. Then we have the clinchers. The clinchers are condensed materials for rapid review. They are more or less like the notes too, just like summarized work. So past candidates have also testified that clinchers are also helpful. So laying your hand on one or two of them will also help you in the future. Most or if not all of these materials are actually free, as I've said initially. You can download these materials in the internet. You can also see them in WhatsApp groups, on Facebook groups, on Telegram groups. So just logging in into social media alone, you are going to see a whole lot of materials. Moreover, if you if you contact me, I'm going to send you some of these materials that are in my possession, maybe so that it can also help you in preparing as well. It's all about the free and downloadable materials. Now let's talk about the the online materials, the one that you are going to pay for. These materials are usually online platforms where you subscribe with them for a particular period. You can decide to subscribe for a month, a single month, or 3 months, or 6 months, or even a year in course of your preparation. These online platforms include Plabable, Plab Keys, Med Revision, Dr. Swami course, Dr. Samson's course, patient.co.uk, and Pass Medicine. Please, it should be noted that I'm not affiliated with any of these online platforms. I'm only using them to explain the materials that you need while preparing for the exam. On a personal note, I will be making use of most of the offline and downloadable materials while preparing, and I will also subscribe with an online platform, especially the Plabable, because it has been said by most previous candidates that the Plabable online platform and the Plab keys actually helps them a lot while preparing for it. So I also advise that on your when you are preparing for the exam, it will be helpful that you lay your hands on some of these materials. You don't necessarily have to use all of these materials. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. But laying your hands on some amount, well, you should know the one that is better for you anyway. So laying your hands on one or two is going to give you a good advantage while preparing for the exam. If you're enjoying this video, consider subscribing to the channel in order to see new videos like this. Thank you. The Plab 1 exam proper. Now let's discuss about what the Plab 1 is really all about. In this section, I will be asking some few questions and I will be giving the best answer that I can possibly give. So for the first question, let's talk about if the Plab 1 exam is difficult. Is the Plab 1 exam difficult? Well, I won't really say the Plab 1 exam is difficult, or I won't say it is easy per se, because in course of our medical training, we have been exposed to so many exams. I mean, from the first day that you began the training to become a doctor, you have written so many exams, and successfully passing these exams, you've given yourself time, dedication, hard work, and diligent preparation for this exam. So the Plab 1 exam is not different per se. It's just that the Plab 1 exam will not rather follow the same pattern of examination that we are all used to in our various medical schools. So the exam is basically about your preparation and your planning. So if you give the exam an adequate amount of time to prepare, I think it should be doable and possible. So what time is sufficient for preparing for the Plab 1 exam? Well, most articles that I've seen online usually states that candidates should endeavor to spend between 2 to 4 months in preparing for their Plab 1 exam. But in my own case, I think I'm going to use even way beyond that. I am thinking about using up to 6 to 8 months for preparing for my own Plab 1 exam, being that I know myself. I know that for me to pass this exam, I need maximum time to prepare. So I would advise everybody to pick their own particular time, because what the basic fact is that the exam needs maximum time for preparation. How is the Plab 1 exam structured? The Plab 1 exam is basically a written exam that is made up of 180 questions that you have to answer in 3 hours. Each question begins with a short clinical scenario that is followed by a question that you answer. You answer these questions. You pick the correct answer from 5 options. So like MCQ that we all have been writing. So we have 5 options to pick a particular answer. It's a clinical based MCQ, not just the one that they will ask you a particular question, a topic related kind of question. Not that. It's more or less like a clinical base where the question can begin with a man presents with so and so, then you start answering it. So it's not really basic medical questions like anatomy and physiology, and they're asking you what's the name for this particular nerve, what's the blood supply to this organ. No, it's not like that. It's more or less like clinical based, where you have to pick a particular answer. So serious planning and preparation must have been done before getting to this stage. So you must have prepared and planned very well for this Plab 1 exam before going to sit for the exam. As I said earlier, the Plab 1 exam is not a walkover, so you have to plan for it seriously. The GEMS is going to provide you with the normal laboratory values at the back of the question booklets, so that you don't necessarily have to cram or have to force yourself to remember these normal values. However, knowing some of these values is going to help you save time, because it will prevent you from flipping back and forth in searching for these normal values. Any sample questions? Yes, there are sample questions. Actually, the GMC have provided about 40 sample questions in their official website. So I will advise that you check out some of these sample questions and use them along when preparing for your Plab 1 exam. When should you arrive for the Plab 1 exam? If you are taking the Plab 1 exam outside of the UK, this particular information will be communicated to you through the British Council. If you arrive at the examination center 1 hour late, you won't be allowed to enter into the examination room. And if you will also not be allowed to go out of the examination room 1 hour into the exam and 30 minutes to the end of the exam. You will also spend at least 4 hours in the examination room. What should you bring with you to the examination center? You will bring a means of identification, that is your valid Nigerian passport or a valid national ID card. You will also come with the confirmation letter from GMC that also have your GMC reference number. You will also come with your stationery materials like your pencils, your eraser and sharpeners. You will also come with other materials like a plain bottle of water that the label of the bottle has been removed. You You can also come with analog and digital watches. Smart watches are not allowed in the exam. So what do you do after the exam? One of the first things you can do after the exam is to appeal your results, and secondly, you have to wait for the released results by the GMC. An appeal is a request for a review of a decision made by the GMC regarding a candidate's performance in a particular exam. If you took any part of the Plab exam, it is your right to appeal the results. You can appeal against the results if there was a clear evidence of irregularities that also include administrative error that would have caused your underperformance of the exam. You can also appeal against the results if there were exceptional circumstances for which clear documentary evidence must be provided that these circumstances which adversely affected your performance. You are advised to submit details of these circumstances as soon as possible, usually 3 working days after the exam, and not wait until the result is released. The other thing that you can do after the exam is to wait for the results to be released. The results will be released 6 weeks after the Plab exam has been written. The GMC is going to send you an email telling you to access your results in the My Test section in your GMC online account. They will tell you your total score and as well as the score that is required to pass the exam and the average score of other candidates. What do you do if you failed the Plab exam? Failing an exam is a terrible feeling, and failing the Plab exam itself after giving it so much thoughts, planning and preparation is another big challenge that most persons also face. But regardless of you failing, you should be able to put yourself back together, raise your shoulders higher a bit, and plan to take the Plab exam once more. Give it another shot because it is worth it. You can attempt the Plab exam a maximum of 4 times. 4 times. If you have failed the exam 4 times, you can still apply for a final attempt, but you will need to provide evidence of additional learning over a period of 12 months before you write an application to the GMC. What do you do after passing Plab? Wow. I will be happy. I will be ecstatic, like I will dance, I will jump. That's by the way anyway. After passing the Plab, you can immediately book for your Plab 2. When you pass the Plab exam, you can immediately book for your Plab 2 exam using your online GMC account. The available Plab 2 dates can be seen from your GMC online account once you have gotten your Plab results. Or even before you book for your Plab 2 exam, you can actually start your EPIC verification. Successfully completing your EPIC verification is going to save you a lot of time in the future, because after completing your EPIC verification, EPIC verification is more or less like verifying your documents through EPIC. So successfully completing EPIC verification saves you ample time, as I've said. Then after doing this, you now book for your Plab 2 exam. Plab 2 exam can only be taken in the UK, that is Manchester in the UK, as I've said earlier. You must pass your Plab 2 exam within 2 years of passing your Plab 1 exam. That is very, very essential and very, very important. Just take note. So that is all I can contribute regarding the Plab 1 exam in Nigeria. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, like, drop your comments, share with your friends and loved ones, and consider subscribing to the channel. Please and please guys, subscribe to the channel because you will continue to see awesome videos like this in the future. Thank you. If I have missed out on anything in course of the discussion, or I've made some mistakes or even some blunders, please guys, hit me up in the comment section. Questions and queries are also welcomed. I'll see you next week in my subsequent video. Thank you guys and remain safe.